One TV.
Thanks, Andy. Good luck to all of them making it to kick-off. Now, footballing links between Scotland and Brazil go way back. Two Scots in two separate accounts accredited with introducing the beautiful game to Brazil in the late 1800s. This is Thomas Donohoe from Buzz Beach, just outside Glasgow, and Charles Miller from Fairley in North Ayrshire. But more recently, they've had this really uncanny knack of meeting each other at World Cups. This is the fifth time their paths have crossed on the game's biggest stage.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Brazil v Scotland?
Volume 12. relentless.
The variation from the Brazilians has been sensational.
How unlucky we've been.
That we are going to be taught a lesson.
Shock steam all the Scotland derby years.
I'll be fine. They're just another team.
Brazil, the world champions so often that they've been given the last World Cup to keep forever as their own.
I've always said to travel in hope, but not necessarily expectation. It was party time with the Brazilians.
This then the big one. Scotland versus the world champions Brazil. Brendan. But no doubt the Brazilians have come prepared for war.
We were up in the gorge looking on and thinking, we will do quite well.
Oh, the goalkeeper is counted.
I think we were a bit unlucky in the game.
Brilliant shot. And it's 5-minute Brendan.
I would say controlled euphoria at the performance in 74.
Scotland produced tonight one of their best international performances. Incidentally, Scotland have never beaten Brazil.
1982, we actually travelled in a van which we put tack wallpaper on and drove all the way down to Seville for the Brazil game.
How long are you out here?
Well, we're out on a 3-week holiday.
Any idea how many Scottish fans might do that?
I think about 20,000.
How many?
20,000. That Brazil team of 82 is probably the best team never to win the World Cup. Zico, Socrates, Junior, Falcao, Eder.
Whatever happens, there's always a room for a dream. Anyway.
Mary's coming through from right back.
To go 1-0 up is incredibly exciting. And then obviously the goals that followed after that. They're just an exciting team to watch. Great footballers. We did well to keep it before, I think.
Will the Brazilians be happy with Scotland in their group?
I think yes. I think was a good group for Brazil. Of course, you have to respect every team.
Back at the Italian World Cup in 1990, I was bus convener for a double-decker bus of 75 people who journeyed from central Glasgow down to Italy.
Good evening from Turin. It's been raining here heavily all day and we've even had thunder and lightning.
The rain.
It just rained the whole time. Scotland and Brazil is probably the most important World Cup game the Scots have ever played.
The Brazil game up in Turin, I felt, you know what, we've got a chance here.
Alamel shot. Good save by Leighton. Corrected it on the rebound.
We can't believe it. Jim Leighton, we just thought, how can this come to pass? And then of course there was the great save by, was it Tafarel?
That was just summing up Scotland. It was not to be.
It's Scotland again against Brazil. Unreal.
1998, I think, was the best one. Every corner he turned, there were Scots there, and every bar that he went into, there was four Scots people.
Begin this afternoon with the opening match, that rather interesting little test for Scotland against Brazil.
It was massive in surprise at the opening of the World Cup.
And it's in on the near post, and the marking was awful.
1-0 down against Brazil, 2 minutes in. Game's a bogey. We got the penalty.
He was running around like a madman. I was almost throwing my baby 4 rows behind me.
We're in this. Very, very cool. Very, very cool.
Although we haven't had great success, we've always been in contention. But so is for Scotland.
Well, Moira has seen it all. She knows it's never easy. Some great memories there. Important to say, none of them winning ones for Scotland against Brazil, despite all the optimism that all the fans had in the build-up to every single one of those games. Actually, Scotland have never beaten Brazil in 10 meetings in total, including friendlies, and Lucas played in one of them as well at the Emirates. They meet again 28 years on from the opening game of France 98 in Paris, which means they're due a win. I think that's what that means, isn't it, Scott?
100%. I'm holding on to hope. This is one of my first memories of being a Scotland fan.
And there was genuine hope in this one when John
Cook
scored a penalty.
in the bottom net, going away celebrating, the household went wild. That wee tiny tailor it had. And to be fair, I always bring this up to Tom Boyd. Every time I see him, they could have got us a draw against one of the best teams I've ever seen. But that wasn't to be that day, and it is very, very unlucky.
In 1982, just before kick-off, Brian Souness, the Brazil captain, lined up with the referee and he made them shake hands. And the referee said, "I hope the best team wins." And Brian Souness said, "I hope they don't." That is not the way we want that one to go. But today, it's going to be really important for Scotland. They've done a lot right, Rachel, in terms of how they've managed to control the game so far.
Yeah, I think defensively we've looked very good. You think when they're off game, they're a lot of the ball. I thought they carried a huge threat, but the intensity they played at early on really stretched us and tested us. And even at the end of that, they only managed 2 shots on target, and a big part of that is because they're disciplined. To be honest, is a great angle above just seeing the shape initially. But what is here, Hanley's out of position. I think there's an opportunity, as we see here, if the ball comes in earlier. I think we've not done well enough to cover quick enough. Fortunately, they don't play it, and now look at the bodies. We've got good numbers now, good position to do well. Stay aggressive, clear the ball, good distance, good areas. And I think that will be required again tonight. As I say, we'll touch on it, probably the other end of the pitch is something important. Again, crowd them out, bodies to the ball, don't make it easy as they come into the box. And again, the shape inside the box, I think we can get centre-backs central a bit quicker. But when you look at us actually getting pressure up against the ball and trying to really limit a good attacking opportunity for Morocco, you can see how well we're doing to force them back out. They're outside the box, delivering from wider areas. And again, I think Hanley was exceptionally well. Nice and aggressive inside the box, knows where the striker is. And again, we can get a break on.
And look, the top of the group for high-speed runs, for sprints, for running distance, for distance covers. And they are. It looks statistically like they're the hardest working team in the group.
Yeah, and some of that's relative to the games. I think, of course, we've got the goal against Haiti and we had to be defensive, and actually when you go to the ball, you've got to work really hard. But I'm glad that those numbers suggest that, because that means we have the capacity to do it, and we're going to have to continue that intensity tonight. I think that's why we've made changes, because to be able to do that consistently in the conditions, Steve Clark's had the plan, and it's intentional we've made these changes, because we need to be able to have legs to make sure we can turn it down. It's not easy to do that.
I don't think that's ever been put down. We always work hard, we always turn up, and I think the main thing is we do it for the fans. The one disappointing thing that I've got, we didn't have shot targets. And you can do all that hard work,
but 2 over the opening 2 games.
If you don't look after the ball and you don't have that quality in that final third, I think that's where we've changed it up a little bit for the game coming up. So I think that's the main focus for us, to try and put them under a little bit of pressure, and which hopefully Shannon's going to put the ball in the back of the net for us, which would be incredible.
And Ailey said it as well in terms of the team selection, as you both referred to. She called it a bold team selection. Is that one that allows Scotland to do more when they do have the ball, Rachel?
Well, I think it's going to free up McTominay to be a little higher, which when he's one of the 2 central midfielders, naturally he has to be a little more defensive, and I think we get more from him by him having a little more freedom. This was us just the minimal opportunities we had against Morocco to try and break forward, and this is an area I think we've been actually pretty effective in previously. We do well when it's restricted play. Yeah, I agree. He's likely going to play it wide left, and that might not see the best of him early on, but I think he will do the work, and potentially we can make changes and shift that. This was again another chance we get in the box. I think we probably, you get a credit in terms of there's not really a clear option. Yes, we can pull it back at the penalty spot and potentially get a shot on goal. It's not a bad opportunity. That was later on in the game. I felt against Morocco we lacked the quality in the final third, and so I'm hoping that we've saved it.
Yeah, the only one thing that I would say about the team selection is I don't like John in the left. I like John in the middle of the park. He fights, he puts his bum in, he controls possession, and he's got that calmness, but he's also got a switch of play. which we've lacked probably in the first couple of games. But looking at the stats, we're sitting in possession, we're bottom, and that's the worry. That we need to keep the ball, especially when we play against Brazil. They're probably going to dominate the ball, but when you do get the ball, it's so important to make 3 or 4 passes out of that pressured area, and then hopefully can we get a Megan out wide or Ben Doak out wide, and hopefully they can produce something.
Lucas must feel like he's been invited to a Scotland party at the moment, but we are going to focus on Brazil. Carlo Ancelotti took over as Brazil boss in May last year. He's their first ever foreign coach at the World Cup, and he did have a front row seat when Brazil won the World Cup on US soil, but it was on the losing side as Italy assisted boss in 1994. The 5-time winners last won the World Cup in 2002. 5-time Champions League winner Ancelotti is the man with the task of ending the 24-year wait. Tim Vickery explains.
The World Cup with the intensity of Brazil. They won it more times than anyone else. Some of the greatest players, and the best footballing moments we've ever seen.
Brazil are the world champions. It's a beautiful game. Plenty called football.
For a generation of young adult Brazilians who've never seen their country lift a trophy, Brazil last won back in 2002. Since that last triumph, they keep falling at the quarter-final stage with, on home soil, 1 semi-final. No one will thank them for remembering what happened. Defeats have come as soon as the Seleção came up against the European side in the knockout phase. And so Brazil turned to a European to help them over the hurdle. One of the most successful coaches in the history of the game, Italy's Carlo Ancelotti. In a proud footballing culture, not everyone is thrilled that the national team is now in foreign hands.
If you imagine how difficult it was for England, imagine for Brazil. Brazilians would like to think that they pick up the beautiful game and made it themselves theirs.
The Brazilian managers are still whining about the foreigner doing the job that should belong to one of them.
But Ancelotti has launched a clever PR offensive, doing his very best to speak Portuguese when he addresses the local media.
Sí, alegría también. Ahora, la posibilidad de reinar la selección brasileña en la Copa del Mundo.
This is his task, to organise and get the best from the resources at his disposal. As he's done, to win a record 5 Champions Leagues and a domestic title in all of Europe's major championships. A track record that earns him instant credibility in any dressing room.
Traz a experiência dele como um dos treinadores mais vencedores, né, da história do futebol, pelos seus clubes, e agora está tendo a alegria e o privilégio de trabalhar pela seleção brasileira. Acho que é um gênio do futebol, né, um cara que já ganhou absolutamente tudo, só falta a Copa do Mundo para ele. Tomara que esteja com a gente.
Ele é estrangeiro no passaporte, porque hoje em dia eu vejo ele mais brasileiro do que muitos aí.
Carlo Ancelotti is probably one of the best managers around that will deal with the match years. I just feel like he would be able to speak to a player in a different sense because of that respect he has for them anyway. But he kind of says how it is. I think some players need to hear that.
Fantastic human being. I had him as a manager, not coach. The difference between coach and manager is the coach will tell the player how to move, where to go, and how to play. Instead, a manager will manage the player.
He has a genuine reverence for talent. Think of his relationship with Vinicius Jr. When Real Madrid lost centre-forward Karim Benzema, Vinny was encouraged to cut inside and attack the goals. A template for what Ancelotti is trying to do now with Brazil. Ancelotti's devotion to talent was clear from his decision to call up Brazil's all-time top goal scorer.
Neymar Jr. Santos.
He's a very divisive player. In 20% of his ideal form, he can conjure something, and that something can make a difference. I think that also guided Ancelotti's rationale in picking him up.
There is, of course, huge pressure in coaching a nation where winning the World Cup is success, and anything else is failure.
We are a nation of more than 200 million football coaches. Everybody thinks they know what to do for Brazil to win the World Cup. But this is a job that is more difficult than being Brazilian president.
Tengo que manejar la presión, tengo experiencia para poderlo manejar.
A farmer's son who attributes his patience and his work ethic to a humble, rustic upbringing, Carlo Ancelotti would have a very strong claim to be considered the greatest coach of all time if he can steer Brazil to this long-awaited triumph.
He's already very much in that conversation, and Carlo Ancelotti has made just one change from the win against Haiti. So Liverpool keeper Alisson is in goal for Brazil. The back four remains unchanged. Marquinhos and Gabriel at centre-back. Casemiro continues in midfield alongside Bruno Guimaraes and Lucas Paquetá. Bournemouth Ryan replaces the injured Rafinha on the right. So Lucas, regardless of the team selection, is Carlo Ancelotti key to any success that Brazil may have at this World Cup?
I'm sure he is. Like we've seen in the video, there was a lot of debates about accepting a foreign manager. And I think he's won everything in every league that he played, in every club. So I think he's the best man to take Brazil to win this title. Of course, he has a lot of work to do, but I think he has the experience to take Brazil to the next step. And I hope again today is another big step towards the title.
We hear time and again, because he's worked at some of the biggest clubs in the world, that one of his greatest skills is man management, and man management in particular of real star players like Vinicius Jr. How do you think he handles him? How does he get the best out of him? What do you want from him?
I think he changed a little bit the position of Vinicius in Madrid when Benzema left. If you can see now, Vinicius is not just a winger, but he's trying to get the ball a bit closer to the box, as well he can be really dangerous. You can see this goal that he inside the box is really dangerous. So I think he's doing well. Of course, he still can do a lot better. I think he will improve, but I think Ancelotti could see that and give him the confidence, management skills that he has. He worked with so many superstars, and give that confidence, I think is really helping Vinicius to really understand his role in the national team, and we just hope that keeps going.
And presumably Vinicius will have an eye on that golden boot race, because that could be really interesting in this World Cup. They're always looking at their numbers, and they're always looking at their competitors.
Yes, I think Vini every year he's scoring more goals, he's looking to score. And like I said, this adjustment in the position that he's receiving the ball a little bit closer to the goal to link up with Cunha especially, I think we will give him a lot of opportunities to assist, but also to score, and why not to be the top scorer of the World Cup.
You talked about his relationship with Matheus Cunha, and that seems to be working really well and developing all the time as well. How much do you see Cunha benefiting from this?
Yes, Matheus Cunha is not a proper number 9, like he used to be Ronaldo and Romario. He's more like a 9.5, He likes to drop between the lines to open the space behind the defense for Vini or Ryan in this case. So I think these link-ups have been really good. You can see the goal. That is a great pass to Vini. It's a chance to Rafinha. So these kind of things that Matheus Cunha can do, and I think they are improving. They are understanding each other every game, and I think Cunha scored 2 goals will give him a lot of confidence for this game as well.
But Brazil can score goals without one, but is that maybe one thing that they do miss, is that out-and-out number 9?
Yes, but I think they have to adapt. Matheus Cunha has a different type of style of play, but you can see this goal is a run that number 9 can do. So I think he can. I think he can add a lot more than just a finishing. He can create chances as well, and dropping between the lines will give space to Vini Jr. and Ryan as well to run at the back of the defense.
Really interested to see Ryan in this game because he's come in to replace Rafinha, who is injured, and he's been so excited for Bournemouth already this season. Oh.
On TV.
Storms in the area that are being monitored. The conditions could play a huge part tonight.
Yeah, it could. Well, any bit of lubrication I think will be welcome daily. It is so hot and humid. I mean, there's not so much the temperature, but that stickiness, the dry heat, the pitch actually can do with a wee bit of rain. It's actually a strange sort of spongy surface. But as Randy Robertson was talking about, I think they're well acclimatised, and I think they're probably really thankful that the big orange thing in the sky isn't out because that would have just intensified things. I think we'll be okay tonight.
It is a really bold starting 11 that Steve Clarke has gone for. You look at past experiences and the regrets that he's spoken about in terms of being so close and not making it in Germany. Do you think it's come from that, and how pleased are you to see that it is front foot the message?
Yeah, look, Ben Gannon coming in, I think everybody wanted to see the wee man in because he can get us up the pitch. He's an outlet for us. I don't think we had that until the second half, in particular against Morocco. He's in from the start. I'm just interested to see whether he's off the right or off the left, and whether he swaps positions with McGinn. But either way, Steve's gone for it a bit. Natural goal scorer up top, and Warren Shannon, I think, is the best finisher we have. I think Lyndon Dykes might have offered us more physicality, particularly early in the game. But it doesn't matter what team you pick. The tactics within that team and that lineup need to be deployed. So it'll be interesting to see how we start the match, whether we start the game, or for the first 10-15 minutes, which I hope we have a real goal.
It feels like Scotland, and I hope I don't live to regret these words, but it feels like Scotland are not a team that will suffer heavy defeats anymore under Steve Clarke, the organisation that he has within the squad. The problem sometimes has been at the other end in terms of scoring goals. This is a fearsome opposition they come up against tonight. How do they try and hurt Brazil?
I'm delighted you said that because I don't see us getting a doing either. That's why I want to see some real going. Ask them questions first. Of course, they're so good front pitches areas of the pitch. But if we can restructure, like you said, under Steve, and we take a wee bit more risk than we've done, I think we might just get a special result tonight.
What an atmosphere it would be if that happened. I mean, this place is lifting off already. The anthems are going to be unbelievable. It all rides on these 90 minutes, though, for Scotland. Elliot Neal is looking and sounding incredible. So many Saltires. It could be a home game for Scotland, but it is the home of the Miami Dolphins in the NFL. It's been host to 6 Super Bowls. The atmosphere is building, as Ailey said, very nicely ahead of kickoff. There is an Italian flavour to the Scotland squad, and of course Scotland's Lewis Ferguson missed the Euro 2024 campaign through injury, but has arguably been Scotland's stand-up player here so far. And the Bologna midfielder sat down in camp with Ailey.
So it's from the wee boy at Hamilton to the World Cup. It has been quite a career so far. How do you reflect on it?
It's difficult to put that into words. It's obviously a childhood dream. It's something that every young kid, every young boy and girl in Scotland will be dreaming. First of all, just to represent Scotland as your dream, to go and represent your country at the World Cup on the biggest stage. Amazing feeling.
Andrew Robertson said he thought that you were the unsung hero of the qualifying campaign. Always nice to hear those kind of comments, but he also said he thought you became a man during that campaign. Do you agree with that, and how do you look back on those comments?
Yeah, it was obviously really nice to hear that from the captain. I did feel like I had a good impact, the most that I've had in the Scotland shirt in that campaign, and I was happy with my performances, but I knew there was obviously still more to come. I still think there is more to come.
Your stats over the first couple of games have been really positive in terms of your ball winning, your distribution, the amount of ground that you've covered as well. How do you describe your role within it?
It's probably like the unselfish role.
His intelligence of recognising where danger might come from and him plugging a gap for somebody who's maybe out of position.
You do a lot of the dirty work, the other side of the game, and that is the covering the ground, trying to protect the lads behind you, trying to feed the lads in front of you, so that they can go and make the magic happen and get the goals and the assists. But I've enjoyed it, I've loved it.
He's an extremely important member of the squad, and he's had a really good tournament so far, so he'll be looking to build on that.
There's very few people in the world that, after a game, I actually really listen to. The most important is obviously myself, the manager, normally my dad. It's always really nice to see how proud and how happy he is. He's played such an important role in my life. I owe him the world.
Where are you as a group of players as we head into this final group match in terms of trying to make that little bit of history?
Yeah, I think within the squad there's a lot of leaders. Hopefully with the experience that this team has got of winning things, then it can come in handy when these big games come up and we can go and get results.
There are a lot of leaders in that squad, Scott. As you said, there's a Champions League winner, there's a Europa League winner, there are players who've won multiple trophies. And amongst all of that, Lewis Ferguson is sort of standing out. He talked about being willing to protect the defence and allow those players in front of him to get forward. Is he doing the sort of unseen work, if you like?
Yeah, he's a silent assassin, if I'm honest, and he goes about his game really, really well. And I was at Aberdeen for 10 months with him, and he was a fantastic player, and I can see how strong he was, his understanding of the game. The reading part of the game is a discipline which is an art itself, and he went from Aberdeen being more attacking to wanting to go score goals to being sitting in front of that back four. And look, he missed the 2024 Euros. Probably Gilmore's missing this one, so it's probably benefited Lewis with that, knowing that he's going to get a lot of game time, that he is going to sit in that one position and not move about because Billy's there to go and dictate play. I thought he's been unbelievable, and I keep talking about the dark traits that he's got. Stop the threat of the counter-attack, willingness to get on the ball, but also know what your job is. And what he talked about there as a defensive midfielder is win the ball back and give it to the forward players to go and score a goal. A lot of players that play in that position think, I want to go forward and go and score the goals, and end up leaving big gaps between. And his discipline and understanding of the game is shown. The stats talk for themselves. It's unbelievable. Most touches in a Scotland jersey, which is unbelievable. World Cup tackles, interceptions, duels won. That's what you want from your pivot in front of a back four. And now he's got another partner in crime, Kenny McLean, in there as well. So the two of them are going to have to work really, really hard, but they've got it in the locker.
Every time we mention Scott McTominay in this World Cup, it is the law that we mention his goal against Denmark, which has now been turned into a crocheted Scott McTominay that's appeared on the top of a letterbox somewhere. But Scott McTominay's contribution more broadly, Rachel, has been incredible. Do you like him in this advanced role?
I think it works. I think we just need him on the pitch. I wasn't sure in the warm-up game because he was in that deeper role. Obviously, he's played in the first two games in a slightly deeper role as one of the two in midfield. And I thought he actually did fantastically well there too. I think tonight, by having both Kenny McLean and Lewis Ferguson central and able to protect, it does just allow him that little more freedom to get up and support the attack. And I think we have, in many ways, missed him a little bit higher up as well. I think between him and Shanklin, they've got a good understanding. They'll fill the box in slightly different areas. They both carry a great threat. They both don't need many chances. And I think by having both of them hopefully being able to be in attacking positions in the moments we can have them in them, then I think it gives us a great opportunity to get a goal tonight.
Listening to Scotland fans over the course of this tournament, they seem to think that if Ben Gannon-Doak is on the pitch, then that means that Scotland are going all-out attack, or as much as Steve Clarke will let them go all-out attack. But he seems to be the player that they associate with that style and with that intent.
Yeah, definitely. He's got the pace, and he's 1v1. He's unbelievable. He's the one little magician that's got something, the X factor higher up the park that we've probably been missing. Like, I think they missed him in the last game. If I'm honest, I'd always have him in my team because he's one that can take you up the park when you're dealing with that pressure, and for somebody to be able to run with a ball 40, 50 yards to take the pressure off you is incredible, and we lack that. If I'm honest, we had hard workers and we're always going to do that, but you just missed that little bit of creativity higher up the park. So look, he's been fantastic in a Scotland jersey, and hoping today he goes and scores us goals, sets up assists, and that's why he's in that team. And like, you never know what he can do because, as I keep going back, he has got that little bit of special quality.
I have to say, those players look like they're dealing with the humidity in Miami pretty well at the moment. It is only the warm-ups, but let's just check in with James McFadden, who is still living his best life out in Florida. Just continuing with his brand new lifestyle, no doubt. And James, we're looking at the players. They look absolutely box fresh. How are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm not box fresh. Absolutely not. It's too hot for me. It's sweaty, it's hot, it's humid. So, I mean, fair play to the players, now they've been able to put up with this. It's really uncomfortable. I've got a fan beside me, I've got some towels to dry my head when required, but it's not about me, it's about the players, and as long as they can deal with it, I'll be absolutely fine.
I mean, we can see that sea of yellow behind you for Brazil, but we can also, when the camera's pointed the other way, see that sea of Scotland fans as well. They've been mixing so much ahead of the game. It sounds like they're set to create a fantastic atmosphere for this game. Do you think the match itself can live up to it?
Yes, I do. I think it's two amazing sets of fans, and right on cue, no Scotland, no party rings around the stadium, as if they're listening to you, Kelly, but I do because it's two sets of fans that are coming to have a good time, and it's two really good football teams that are going to play together, and I think that, that's the most important part for Scotland. Believing go out and perform, believing go out and cause problems for Brazil, and give it your best, because in two few occasions that's happened in the tournament stages. This is a chance for them to go and show it, and I'm hoping that they go and put in a real strong performance tonight.
James, good to talk to you. We'll be joining you again for kick-off very shortly. Thank you very much for now. It is nearly time, as you can see behind James, for the players to take to the pitch. So, time for a word from the captain.
Dear Scotland, captaining my country, our country, on the biggest stage of all is a good way to get. The team's got a long way. We want to make Scotland proud. To our supporters, we feel your noise and passion. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you.
This is for the young generation to get to watch Scotland play the World Cup.
Thousands that have made huge sacrifices to be here in person.
Simple geography, right?
TV 1. BBC One only. MOTD Live. Scotland to beat Brazil. Volume 11. Volume 10.
The youngsters who will be going to school and recreating magical moments from the playground. The friends and family that have supported us and cheered our team. We know the size of the challenge ahead of us. But challenge comes opportunity. We are focused on making everyone proud. Of our country.
remember, if you want to watch what's happening in the other game, Morocco against Haiti is on BBC Two. But right here on BBC One, those Scotland players that you can see inside their shirts have sewn a quote from Dennis Law, who's Scotland's joint top goal scorer and the only Scottish player ever to win the Ballon d'Or. It says, look around the room at each other, listen to the fans out there and throw everything at anyone who's trying to stop Scotland from winning. Scotland against Brazil in the World Cup for a place in the knockout stages for the first time in Scotland's history. Let's head straight to Miami for our commentary team of James McFadden and Liam McLeod.
Thank you, Kelly. Good evening. Success is no accident. It is hard work and perseverance. The words of the great three-time World Cup winner Pelé, still the undisputed king of Brazilian football, the shoulders of whom many have tried to stand upon. And that hard work and perseverance will be required for a Scotland team that stands at the brink of their own history in Miami tonight, where the air is thick with heat, hope and expectation. A nation that gave football some of its earliest pioneers, its fiercest passions and its most loyal travellers, is also a nation that has too often failed at the big stage. A sea of unfulfilled dreams and early exits from big tournaments. But on nights like these, history cannot be a burden. It is an invitation. And the win over Haiti on match day 1, up in Boston, has given them an almighty opportunity. 1 point, just 1 point is all they need. And it would highly likely take them through to the last 32. Easier to say than to do, of course, as the mighty Brazil stand opposite them. The record 5-time winners may not be of the same gladiatorial standing as some of the Brazilian teams of the past, but it is still Brazil. And it is a Brazil under the stewardship of the great Carlo Ancelotti. 5 stars above their crest. Wherever Canarinha go, expectation follows. Wherever they play, the world watches. Scotland fans will be wildly outnumbered for this one. See the yellow shirts all over Miami Gardens. is the star man in this Brazilian side. The party in Boston to the beach in Miami, the Scotland supporters have been on some journey. They don't want it to end yet. 42-year-old Cesar Arturo Ramos takes charge of proceedings, a veteran it is. Nowadays, this is his third tournament and ninth World Cup finals match, all told. For the Mexican, and heading up the party today is Norway's Espanezka. She was in the middle of it all here the other night as Cape Verde thrilled everyone yet again with that draw against Uruguay. Pacheco also in the bathroom. Scott McKenna then comes into the side for his tournament debut after recovering from an injury that kept him out of the first two. McQueen, Gavin Doken, Shankland all get the call, with Hanley, Christie, Tierney and Adams dropping out. Cap 97 for Robertson, 89 for McGinn, a 73rd for McTominay. And it has all led to this. But it looks like a good balance lineup. Barcelona's Rafinha misses out with a hamstring injury, so his place goes to Bournemouth teenager Ryan, having scored his first international goal in a friendly with over Panama before the tournament. Came on for the former Leeds man against Haiti last time out. Apart from that, it's the same side. Casemiro plays despite speculation in Brazil that he would be dropped. He's alongside Newcastle skipper Bruno Guimaraes and former West Ham man Lucas Paquetá. Matheus Cunha is once again chosen to lead the line and looking to add to the 2 goals he scored against the Haitians. The biggest night of his managerial life, you would imagine, for Steve Clarke, signed that contract extension before the tournament got underway. And how often Scott McTominay's been the talisman for this side. That man will attempt to be for his team. Ancelotti, his assistant to Arrigo Sacchi, in the Rose Bowl that night when Baggio skied the penalty and the Brazilians lifted the trophy. It is Scotland, it is Brazil, it is the World Cup, and it's judgment night, potentially. An 11th meeting between these two and a 5th in the World Cup finals. Steve Clarke's men arrive as underdogs, but they arrive not as spectators. A first ever win over Brazil, which sent in all kinds of shockwaves. 90 minutes separated from a place in the World Cup knockouts. 90 minutes from a result that could go down as their biggest. 90 minutes from the greatest night in Scottish international football history. 90 minutes, James McFadden, from immortality.
Yeah, and what a big 90 minutes it is. No better team to go and try and do it against Brazil. Best side, best country ever in the World Cup. Makes it a little bit tougher, but Scotland have got a chance to become legends tonight. If they aren't already, they'll be the first team to advance from the knockouts.
Lewis Ferguson tried to lay down there on the marker there. Paquetá felt that. On back, McTominay with McLean. And again. They'll start a whole lot better than they did against Morocco last time out. Again, holding off Casemiro. Ferguson and Robertson with the quality he possesses. There's a way that Marquinhos. Excellent play continue here, but then eventually needs to stop it because Ferguson's down.
Shot the trip further, clearly ahead of
Ryan in there with a challenge. First teenager to start a World Cup match for Brazil since 1970. There's been yet more football in royalty. header. And goes to Gimenez. Ryan. Here's Paqueta. Brazil looking to flex their muscles for the first time. This is Junior. Something to get back onto that was the marquee attempt by Paqueta. How cool is that? From Hendry. That was brilliant on the side because there were a couple of opportunities to maybe clear that ball up the pitch and try and get it away from round about the Scotland box, but the composure shown by everyone there, highlighted by Jack Henry. Again, looked like he was putting a bit of trouble. Maybe the clearance was a better option. That shows you that they're ready for this game. You can tell with the lineup that it's been picked. There's going to be one to try and have elements of control in this game, and that's a great early start to show that composure there. Settled well. Basically, over that attacking threat that could much surprise the Brazilians, who were expecting it to be a pretty conservative performance from Scotland this evening. Here's Lewis Ferguson. He's been such an important player for the Scotland team recently. Real breakthrough in the qualifiers for this competition.
He's been outstanding, Lewis Ferguson. Just spotting the danger, covering across, covering obviously a lot of ground as well, but so important, and a lot of the time goes under the radar, unnoticed.
It's a mistake though. There's no run to it. Nearly ball in. It's an easy take for Gunn. That came in from Gimenez. Do no harm for Gunn to get a feel of the ball like that.
Yeah, especially a nice comfortable one like that. I mean, he's had a touch of the ball at his feet. And Andy Robertson has slack from him, but the action's excellent to get back at his speed.
Brazil effectively already through on 4 points. Draw with Morocco and New York, New Jersey, followed by a comfortable win over Haiti. Here's Arsenal's Gabriel, still recovering from that Champions League penalty shootout miss. Marquinhos from PSG took full advantage of it though. Now remember the images of Marquinhos going straight to his international colleague to console him. Pictures that were beamed around the world. Formed a partnership at international level in recent years. Danilo Luiz of Flamengo, more experienced players in the Brazil squad. Casemiro has just left Manchester United after 4 years. Douglas Santos gets it back. Paqueta. Here's Junior. For Casemiro, he's going to have a goal here. Good block by McLean. Nice feel of the ball for Gannon Doak, who's the one in the Scotland team who can unlock things if they get them into the right areas.
Yeah, he's the one that's direct, wants to get forward, and he's actually just playing his way in. By keeping it simple. This is, I mean, it's not a high tempo game. Both sides have had moments where it's knocking it about across the pitch and nice and slow.
That's a mistake for the junior team, and even more Brazil in front. The 5-time winners lead. It's an absolute nightmare in the back. The goal Scotland dreaded, and a savage blow to their hopes of history. And a gift for Vinicius Junior, and McKenna knows it.
Just speaking about keep the ball trying to build your way in, and it is an absolute gift. Scott McKenna, back in the starting lineup after missing the first two games. And they don't need any encouragement. They're good enough. Scott McKenna needs to just point to Andy Robertson. That heavy touch there is enough to give it to Vinicius Junior. Once it comes inside, it's gone. He needs to play it as soon as he gets it. Opens his body up. Andy Robertson's in position. He's looking for it.
Scotland behind to yet another early goal. It wasn't quite as early as the one the Moroccans scored the other night. Boussaï Bari. That was an error as well. Even Ancelotti was surprised it presented itself at the feet of Vinicius Junior. The talisman for this team. Scotland tried to find an immediate riposte here, but they're not doing themselves any favours with these mistakes in the infancy of these games.
No, another defensive error. And this, I mean, there's a little good enough. They don't need gifts, but if you get them one, they'll take it. The most important part here now is to not lose composure, to not let the game run away from them. Because, again, encouragement for Brazil is the last thing they need, last thing Scotland need. And they will continue to take up those gifts. So, get back on the ball, knock the ball about, make some passes, build it forward, make sure you hit back.
As was the case last Friday, Steve Clarke worked on a plan which would have involved a scenario where they did go behind. And all the hard work of getting to the World Cup, if they end up going out because of these errors, then it's going to be tough to recover from that.
I mean, that's just a slack one in possession from McKenna. The one against Morocco, it's not doing the basics, and it's just a moment to relax. Brazil aren't even get started yet, and they go up. Morocco one, you can at least applaud the pass, the run, the touch, the finish.
It's come early again though, so there's still lots of time to play with.
Resilience is definitely a trait, characteristic of this side.
Just come off the back of an excellent club season in Scott McKenna as well. The Dinamo Zagreb winning the Croatian top flight and the cup. Hendry. Flick away there by Danilo. Ryan over there, who's the one who charged down McKenna's attempted ball. And Brazil come forward again. Cunha. Gimenez. Comes up to Robertson.
Needs help. Ron Simon. When the ball, I know it's a long ball up, but when the ball goes long, someone needs to get close to it.
You got Brazil, it's with Cunha, it's over the bar. So there's been a goal here, there's also been a goal in Atlanta in the other game in this group where Morocco are taking on Haiti. And it's the Haitians who have taken the lead through Lenny Joseph. Would you believe? And Haiti can't finish any higher than fourth, bottom spot. But that's going to aid Brazil's hopes of winning the group. So the cat's been put amongst the pigeons in Atlanta. Well, we got wind that there was a goal there, we just expected it to be for Morocco. Cannon don't chasing that. Closed out well by Gabriel.
It's official there from Gabriel.
Scotland could get away with a 1-0 or a 2-0 or a 1-goal or 2-goal defeat and still potentially go through to the knockouts. Anything more than that, and you're hanging by a thread. We'll worry about that later. Marquinhos, back to back in the Champions League. It's a lovely flip ball forward, but Danilo couldn't quite get it under control.
It's just a glimpse what we're capable of. There's a challenge for Gabriel. It's perfectly timed. It's vital. Brandon don't get set ahead of him. He's fully committed, Gabriel. He's taking him out.
So Neymar on the bench there. He waits to make his first appearance in these World Cup finals. Casemiro for Paqueta. Brilliant video being developed again this week of Lucas Paqueta dancing to someone playing the bagpipes. Play the ball out by Gunnar. Casemiro. Ball out to Danilo. Casemiro again. It's harmless. It's the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, the home of the two-time Super Bowl champions, the Miami Dolphins, and of course the legendary Dan Marino. Also hosts the ATP Tours Miami Open Tennis, which is held annually in the spring as you watch the goal that separates the teams. World number one Jannik Sinner and Arina Sabalenka won the singles titles respectively here this year. And if that wasn't enough, Formula One's Miami Grand Prix held in the footprint of the stadium. Italy's Kimi Antonelli won it this year. He currently leads the Drivers' Championship. 7 games at these finals will host as well. How do you think Scotland have reacted to the shock of going behind?
Yeah, fine. I think that they'll get back in the ball, trying to build into an area where they can maybe get Gary Gold wide 1v1. And it's been fine, there's been no panic, which you would expect anyway. And it's always the fear when you lose a goal as cheaply as you have done. Players maybe lose a bit of faith and don't really react positively. I think it's been fine.
Allison, the Brazil goalkeeper, was described by his now former Liverpool teammate Andrew Robertson as the best keeper in the world. We build up to this. His position at Anfield's come under threat from Georgi Mamardashvili, the Georgian. Reported interest from Juventus in the Brazil keeper. Douglas Santos. Marquinhos. Sense that Brazil are beginning to get into their stride here. Scotland in more possession than them in the opening 10 minutes. Let's shift it.
They're just waiting for that opening. You know they've got quality. They pick a pass right throughout the team. Just one individual player that's got the ability to unlock the defence. It's all of them. As much as they've got a high tempo,
Cheer goes up as they announce the Haiti goal here from the Brazil fans. It'll come again. Come on, a Scottish head. And almost fell to Vinicius Junior at the angle of the 6-yard box. He's on it now. Teasing Patterson, who reacts well, but at the expense of a corner.
He does well, Nathan Patterson. How dangerous Billy Junior is in these situations. Goes for the fake, drags it, reads it really well.
As it stands, Brazil are winning the group. Scotland are left sweating. Bruno Guimaraes with the corner. It's a good delivery as well. So they're going to keep alive as it's hoisted back in. Gabriel's beaten to it though, and away comes Robertson and Gannon Doak. Into McGinn. Paquetá all over Gannon Doak. He's done well to dig it out to McTominay. Cunha over. Took too long. Have to be faster than that. Vinicius Junior's away. Goes to the outside of the boot. God no. Calmly with the arms outstretched, knew where it was going. You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, you're dominating too long the ball. Trying to turn the fine perfect moment to get in space.
So Rivaldo enjoying the match there. What a player he was. World Cup win in 2002. Ronaldo with the 2 goals. Rivaldo was man of the match. So Ronaldinho, Cafu, Vital involved in that triumph. Paquetá. Times in that first half in Boston last Friday where Scotland's use of the ball needed to be better. You can see the goals affected them in that regard here because they actually started pretty well.
Yeah, they have, and I think that even despite the gift, they've still tried to keep possession. It's key, we've talked about the conditions, it's key that you spend some time on the ball because there's long chasing everything all the time.
That problem again here, Hendry gets it away after Maya made his way to the box. Gabriel and Paquetá. Vinicius Junior closed down well by Ferguson. He does that particular job perfectly. Wasn't had a great season in front of goal for Bologna, who didn't have as good a season as they had the year before, but won the Coppa Italia and playing in the Champions League. It's the 1 goal he scored for his club. And Henry's in that mid-double, and he's in again, and it's another again! Scotland come their own throats in Miami, and if they're not careful, they're heading out of the World Cup. As they present Brazil in yet another, and it's just gone from bad to worse.
Well, there's one thing showing a bit of composure and spending time on the ball, and another thinking maybe what would happen in the world. It's another gift and a decent enough position for Scotland. Can't believe what he's watching here, Steve Clark. Henry this time, you don't get that time and space. You don't get it. He's very, very fortunate as well because they're going to try and bring him down. But you will not be given that time and space on the ball. Understand, show composure, and take the ball, be brave. But there still has to be a tempo, there still has to be a speed and an awareness of danger. Which have been taken by that man on both occasions. Fair play to him.
He's up to 4 for the tournament. And the Galacticos have all turned up, and they're having a check at this goal, so this isn't cut and dried yet. We're going to look at a possible foul on Jack Henry, presumably. Carr's been relatively quiet, you see that there, yeah.
He has.
Well, this is a bullet dodge, without question.
Absolutely. Just catching him the right leg here. Yeah. He's just wanting to play the ball. Puts his foot in front of where Jack Henry's playing it. You'd imagine he's been called over it. It's because they feel that is enough. And it should be.
Here we go. So, it is ruled out. Let's hear from Gary Carney's watching in the studio for us. Stan, what do you make of that?
Yeah, Liam, I think Scotland are a little fortunate, to be honest. There is a small contact before the ball is played, but I don't really feel that it's a foul by Vinny Jr. He's just holding his ground, and the defender just kicks into him. So I think it's one that Scotland will be delighted with, but I think a little fortunate to get the decision.
Oh, Vinicius Junior's back on. 3 goals for the tournament. Dan, thank you. That was interesting. James, do you have the same opinion?
No, I don't. I think it's a foul. Whether it's a slight contact or not, it's a foul.
Well, how big a sigh of relief as we go into the first hydration as Jack Henry just produced.
Yeah, he has. And look, critical because he's taking his time. But when you see it back, clearly his caught is in the action of kicking the ball, which is enough to stop him from being able to kick the ball. He's impeded. It's a let off, and it's just another warning to say that at times Brazil look like they don't really want to go and press, they're happy to set off until they decide to do it. And they go then and force those mistakes and capitalise on it. I think it's a foul for me. He catches him, and it's a correct decision, and it's about time Scotland got a decision here.
Well, after us here in Miami and BBC One, Czech Republic face Mexico as Group A reaches its conclusion. On BBC Two later on, also in Group A, all to play for between South Africa and South Korea. And if you missed the news earlier on, the BBC has announced live television rights to all matches featuring Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland until Euro 2028, including friendlies, qualifiers and the Nations League. Scotland will face Switzerland, North Macedonia and Slovenia in that competition in the autumn. And if you want to get involved, you can scan the QR code and head to the live page in the BBC Sport app for polls, updates and reaction throughout the match. It is a match that Brazil are leading by a goal to nil, but it could, James, have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been. I mean, it's a foul. It is a let off in the sense that it was a goal, but there you go. He's going to try and play it there, Henry. Clearly impeded Vinicius Jr. And it's a let off in the sense that you're facing a 2-0 and then you're into this hydration break. And then you're trying to regroup, but at least, it's a bit simple for Steve Clark. I'm pretty sure he'll be telling his 2 centre-backs, speed up as much as they can, don't be taking any unnecessary risks. As much as they're out there to try and play and build and wait, the decision making has to be better when you do it.
Well, it must have been part of the preparation.
Of course it is.
Vinicius Jr. has profited twice there Okay, one hasn't counted, but they must have been doing drills.
Yeah, no, but look, it will be the way they've been, asked to go and play. The Scott McKenna one is pretty simple. When he opens his body up, Andy Robertson is a pass. And I know he's probably looking and thought, well, there's a man on him, but I can see Andy Robertson asking for it. And then he takes it inside, takes too long, and the second goal that was, disallowed, I think is the correct decision. So, yeah, it's a bit of a let-off, but it's a foul, it's a foul.
Experienced centre backs as well. More than 40 caps, Henry, more than 50 now, McKenna. However, the damage hasn't increased. Again, trying to get it back out to Robertson to win at least a corner. He's managed to do so. Heading to Tottenham Hotspur next season after that storied career at Liverpool. Almost 400 appearances and all that silverware across 9 years. First of the match then for Scotland. Lewis Ferguson is looking to cause some havoc. It's got taken away from McTominay, who was waiting for that to reach him. John McGinn. It's a good ball! Rather than being headed towards goal, it was along the 6-yard line.
Feels like a chance. Great ball in from John McGinn. As McKenna gets at the back post here. Yeah. Maybe just puts him off, but almost if it just hits him rather than him going and attacking the ball. Great delivery in from John McGinn.
Ethan Patterson of Everton doesn't get much of a look in there, but then once again for Aaron Hickey. We are told if Scotland are able to scramble a place in the last 32, possibly be available for that. They've got to take that let off and channel it in the right manner now, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, yes, you still have to, build and play from the back, but you can't just invite Brazil totally. When you trigger that press from Brazil, that's when you up the tempo and the speed of the pass.
It's the most relieved man in Florida, Hendry. And to Patterson. I think that worked well, McTominay. And ref allowing advantage here, McLean, again, Robertson to his left. Andy Robertson to settle for a corner, but it's so much better.
Yeah, that's what happens when you up the tempo. McTominay driving forward, watching from right to left. John McGinn thought about the shot. He decided to put Andy Robertson in. He's trying to find Lawrence Shankman. Goes in the middle of the box, middle of the goals. Much better.
To make up for Boston and Lewis Ferguson having ruled out of Euro 2024 from a knee injury. He goes again. Drop McGinn's way. Eventually, this on to the chest of Patterson. On back row by Paquetá. He's looking for a free kick there. Bounces straight back up. This is Ferguson. Paquetá's brilliant turn wasn't matched by the pass. Ferguson draws Scotland's third corner in quick succession.
Oh, this is brilliant. Little nutmeg. But lobs are good, and I like to see it. Lewis Ferguson having a shot from distance. I don't think that Scotland have done that enough of this World Cup. The ball seemed to be flying and giving the goalkeepers problems, so more of that, please.
It'll be third time lucky from the third corner. Headed away by Marquinhos. The ref sounds the whistle. And that little moment of respite and opportunity comes to an end because of Jack Henry wrestling with Bruno Gimenez.
Wrestling each other.
Ferguson and Patterson. Gavin Doak, we haven't seen much of him in this kind of area. This is where he excels. Slip away by Casemiro. It's a Brazil ball, but it's tenacious play by Gavin Doak.
Sure isn't. It's excellent. He gets it 1v1, little step over, so sharp. And then he goes and recovers to win it back.
Wasn't exactly a stellar qualifying campaign that Brazil put together. Won just 8 of their 18 matches. They lost 6 of them. They finished 5th on the CONMEBOL table. They are here, as they always are.
And you have a genius as a manager as well.
Now it's a lovely take. As Ryan buttered his way through, and it's a goal kick, not a corner. You can see the 19-year-old doesn't agree with the decision.
That's the baffled with that myself. Ferguson get back, got the last touch.
It's a good outcome for Scotland as well, Ben Gavin Doak. We talked about the skills he possesses, but he gets this team in advanced areas.
Yeah, just got a chance here to see. No.
Yeah,
it's a strange decision by the referee.
McLean. Man who scored from inside his own half against Denmark in that final qualifier, and that so dramatic of nights in Glasgow Southside last November.
Well, he's more than capable, as you just mentioned, but it's now McLean and Ferguson have had a goal from distance. I like it, something that hasn't happened enough.
Tommy slipping through the shackle, doesn't pay off, so the right idea. There's Paqueta. Gimenez back to Marquinhos. Lucas Paqueta. And to Douglas Santos. Paqueta left West Ham in the winter window this year. On his way back to his homeland in Flamengo. Vinicius Junior. Really well defended by Patterson. So they play themselves out now. It's given Scotland supporters nervy all night so far.
Yeah, it's good, but it doesn't feel comfortable.
Brazil get back, Gimenez. Plenty forward here, and again, that Rodri, as Ryan shoots well past, he'll be annoyed. He's not got that in target.
Must have been well wide because Angus didn't even bother trying to get to it.
The scoreline didn't get any worse last Friday when Morocco scored early. And as I said earlier, a 1-0 defeat tonight would result in a fine probability that Scotland are going through.
Yeah, but this isn't a team that's been set up to defend and contend. This is a team that's been set up to cause problems going forward as well. So, yeah, as long as it stays this way, then Scotland will always have a chance.
And don't brushed aside by Douglas Santos. Ferguson. Shankland from McLean. Here's Robertson. McLean is overhitting. Kind of felt as though Robertson was going to try and cross that in for a strike there.
Yeah, he was desperate to get the cross away, but he maybe just felt that he couldn't get it first time. That's a haircut there.
It's brilliant because you're seeing so many youngsters with that Ronaldo hairdo, which he was sporting in that final in 2002.
Legendary. It's about all I've got left now.
If that.
Yeah, I was being kind to myself there, Liam, you're right.
Yeah, that was particularly pleasing for Ronaldo himself after right there in that final in '98. Won it 4 years later. Exercise those ghosts. And they're thrashing at the hands of France and Saint-Denis. Paqueta. Not a lot more points for Robertson, but he made it look a lot easier than it perhaps was.
Yeah, nice composure there once again. I've liked as much as it's been risky and put us in a bit of trouble at times, I like the composure. The fact that players they're not forcing it, they're not rushing it. You can see that there is a real belief that they can compete at this stage.
Patterson out towards McLean as he travels. There's been another goal in the match in Atlanta. And it is an equaliser for Morocco. It's their captain Ashraf Hakimi who has scored it. As you can see, on the rebound. So 1-1, the other game in this group. I will still have Brazil winning the section as it stands. Cunha. Oh, the gun was scrambling on that occasion, for sure.
Yeah, I think he leaves this in the sprint. He realises he's going wide at the last minute. Yeah. He's just covering his angles there. And as much as they're not testing him, he's not going to make a save from these chances. Don't want to give him too many away because the quality throughout this Brazil side.
Scored 10 goals last season for Manchester United, including wins over Arsenal and Liverpool. The winner of this group is the runner-up in Group F. That's the Dutch section with Japan, Tunisia and Sweden. And the runner-up will face the winners of that group. Scotland have potential matchups against Mexico in the Azteca. They finished third. Close them against Germany. the only jersey against France. Douglas Santos. This is Junior for the free kick. Paquetá. To St. Peter for Douglas Santos from the title in Russia. Given his debut by Dunga, who we saw earlier on. Brazilian legend who's been doing punditry at the tournament. It's raining goals in Atlanta, but his 50 have just re-established their lead. Isidore has got the goal. There's been a big difference to the Haiti team. Both he and Bellegarde really have, but that's a fabulous strike, my goodness. Wilson Isidore. Morocco won Haiti too. We've seen some great stories at this World Cup finals, and myself and James were here the other night for a stunning Uruguay-Cape Verde game. Scotland cannot afford to concede right there to the first half here. And this is Junior's pulled it back. Anderson gets it over the line. Junior attacked it.
Yeah, you can see it coming, it just ups the tempo here. Versus Junior. Getting more and more territory in and around the Scotland box. And this is what they can do to you. No one matches up. Kenny gets across. Hendry just does enough to make sure that Junior doesn't get a clean contact then. Of course, Lewis Ferguson's there. Alongside Nathan Patterson. Good combination of the two in the end. Here's Paquetá. Gordon Claims. Players can be doing with the break, going in and getting around their manager here and trying to work out a way of being a threat to the Brazilians, because they looked relatively comfortable in areas of the match, but once again they don't look a threat at all. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to make sure that they keep as much possession as they can. As the crowd got to see the Morocco score. They're trying to get as much possession as they can. Which I can understand, because it's uncomfortable in this stadium with the conditions, so we don't know how the players are feeling it, and it might just be a case of trying to save as much energy as you can, get the rest while we can. But I agree, I think that I would have liked to have seen a bit more of a threat. Brandon Doyle can get him 1v1, he has been a couple of times, but not nearly enough for me, as he's over on the left hand side now. Maybe that'll help John McGinty get into the game as well.
Towards the end of the first of 6 minutes of stoppage time. Again, showed too much to Casemiro. Ferguson for Shankland. Again, the Doge popped up on the left. He stops his effort, but he's barking again. Ball out, like it was taken by Casemiro. An optimistic shout for a penalty from the Tarn Army.
No, it was never so fortunate.
Almost kicked him again on the edge of the knee.
It was never so fortunate for Brandon Doyle. He's a mess in the first shot. And then the bounces down, he just wanted to hit it first time.
The crowd are getting on the big screens. Wilson Isidore's goal. And then notable gasps at the spectacular nature of it. Vinny Junior. Fouled by Shankland. McKinnon, as we get closer to the break, we've just got to try and get themselves in at half-time, just one behind right now.
Yeah, I mean, he overruns it. This is Junior, but Patterson is trying to hold his shot right in front of the referee. But they do, yes. Very worse going here at 1-0. Chance to regroup and maybe creep how they can be more effective, more dangerous going forward. Giving it back. One man's to the top here. Gimenez gets it across, and Vinicius Junior does make it two. And this time it will stand. The man with the dancing feet uses his head. And Scotland's World Cup hopes. Their hopes of qualifying in the group stage for the first time are on the precipice in Miami. Oh, it's a wonderful goal. The cross is magnificent. Time of the run. And Vinicius Junior. Excellent. And Angus Gunn gets caught under it. It's another almost self-inflicted. Scotland just can't get the ball clear from this situation. And they just encourage away. Jack Hendry, there's no idea where Vinicius Junior is. Nathan Parsons scrambling to get back. Angus Gunn gets caught under it. It's a lovely cross and simple heavy finish for Vinicius Junior. He's at the bottom of the net 3 times. 2 have stood. And Scotland are getting pretty close to the point of no return here. They might get away with a 2-goal defeat today. They might get away with a 3-goal defeat, but that's into the lap of the gods. If that happens. Yeah, and the frustrating thing for me is it's not been through outstanding play or getting pressure, it's just a couple of moments of bad decisions. It's really punished. And that is a big frustration. We don't know what's going to happen in any other groups in the days to come. But before the tournament started, if you're going to finish the group stage on 3 points, -1 or -2 goal difference, you'd probably be okay. It might be a heavier defeat than this, but you do get through anyway. You're relying on all kinds of permutations at that point. We can get one back here, Robertson's ball. Henry to the edge of the area, Cannon Doak, scuffed again. And as always, as former professionals, managers, will always tell you if you score on the stroke of half-time, what a boost it gives you if you concede one, mentally, and that's the exact opposite effect. Simply, Pakita. Here comes a brilliant touch by Ryan! And Gunn protects the third! Oh, that was almost lights out! It sure was on the first touch. That's from Ryan. Lovely pass. Andy Robertson was steaming in. Lovely touch round him. This save is top class from Angus Gunn. Top class save. Scotland are wilting in the Florida heat here. Just trying to get to half-time. The effort there from Douglas Santos is blocked, but it's in the 26 going to come back into the box, but there's no time to take it. Next game referee brings the first half to a close. Vinicius Junior with 2 goals. First capitalising on an awful mistake by Scott McKenna. And even worse from Jack Hendry. So Vinny Junior scored again, but it was ruled out for a foul on Hendry. He headed home the second in first half stoppage time. It's a long way back from here for Scotland, and a big half-time team talk to come for Steve Clarke as they try and keep their dreams of qualifying for the first time out of the groups at a major tournament alive. Half-time in Miami is Scotland 0, Brazil 2.
It is going to be a difficult journey back for Scotland if they are going to do it in the second half of this game. But Brazil lead by 2-0. Over the first 45 minutes, Scott, I think when we eventually come to see your face, we'll be able to tell what you made of it.
Yeah, I thought we were poor, if I'm honest. We're not really... Brazil let us control the game at the back, and all they're doing is letting us invite pressure ourselves, and then they're setting their tempo of their pressing. Like me and Lucas were talking about this earlier. Brazil have changed under Ancelotti. They're happy enough to do the stuff off the ball. Cunha drops in, and then when they set the press, they've got so much pace. And for me, Scott and Jack and two centre halves thinking they had a little bit more pressure than what they did have, and thinking it was going to be a little bit easy because we started off the game quite nice, passing the ball on the back, a bit like what we did against Haiti. And it was slow, but we've not really threatened anything in behind. You need to try and stretch that defence as well. And honestly, the amount of times we put ourselves under pressure, that's a disappointing thing.
And I think as well, when you look at those half-time stats, you might be able to forgive
2, 3, X. Source 1.
as winners of the group yet again. And Lucas, how impressed have you been with, and I know Scotland have given them opportunities, but how impressed have you been with, as Rachel said, the sharpness of Brazil?
Yeah, it's really important the way they are pressing. They are letting the Scotland have the ball. Scotland had more possession than Brazil, but Cunha dropping in and the two wingers a little bit higher on the pitch, which is forcing Scotland making mistakes. And it could have been 3 or 4, so I don't think, in my opinion, it wasn't a foul, so it could have been easy 3-0. So the question is how they will come back and see what Carlo Ancelotti will do now. You know, I think the game is not done yet, but it's a good first half for Brazil.
We'll look back at that contentious decision to disallow Vinny's second goal of the game very shortly, after we've heard from Scotland assistant coach Stephen Naismith is with Aileen.
Stephen, 2 mistakes, really frustrating, but how do you reflect on that first half?
Yeah, it's tough, obviously. It's now the second game in a row we've lost an early goal, which is really difficult. I think they've shown their threat. They're happy to make you feel comfortable, and they'll punish you. So obviously we need to regroup at half time and be better defensively, but we need to carry a threat.
What will that message be at half time, particularly losing so late on the first half?
Yeah, it will be that we've got to be better defensively, and they're happy to leave bodies up the pitch. But I think we've got to find the third, but similar to Morocco, we've not tested the goal, that we need to do that a bit more in the second half.
Wish you all the best, cheers. Thank you.
Before we look at that goal defensively from Scotland's point of view, just talk us through the Brazilian point of view of this, Lucas, and the composure that Vinicius Junior scored, which we're so used to seeing.
Yes, like we said before the game, you know, I think it was a great pressure from the team. You can see Cunha right on the holding midfielder. Ryan made a good press, and he was so composed. What a touch to take on the goalkeeper and score the first goal. I think Scotland started the game well, but then conceded with 7 minutes. It made it really difficult for Scotland.
Well, Scotland made it very difficult for Scotland.
Scotland do at times. We always make it difficult. It's what we're very good at, but as Nazy says, it's 2 goals in very quick succession in the first half. And I'm sure everything that Steve talks about in there, he's talking about make sure we're solid. And we've managed to win the ball back. You need to make passes under pressure. Okay, there's an opportunity, like Ben's going in behind. Can we go and stretch them? We don't, right? Jack takes a fantastic touch there out of pressure. There we go. Calmness again. Scotty should deepen off if they can, but it's went to Robbo. like, two different scenarios that we've had. And the hard thing is now, can Scotty deepen off again? Like, the exact same scenario comes on, it doesn't go out to Robbo. Right? They knows Ryan's press is there, Vinicius is floating about, and it's this touch as soon as that's plain and simple. You can easily go to Robbo. It's that touch there, just a little bit too heavy for Scotty, and like, what Vinicius does is unbelievable. That first touch takes gun out the game.
Is it the difference between composed and casual, Rachel?
I think there's a lot of things, there's a lot of basic things you can do much quicker. Like, Scottish get into position, a little quick out of ambles and back. That means that Ryan's able to almost put a doubt in his mind if he can play to Robbo. And those are just simple things, you know, if you get in position quick. I think Gunn probably plays the pass slightly behind him. He maybe thinks McKenna's going to take one more step. That means McKenna's still shifting his feet when the ball arrives. It's ever so slight, but when you're playing against players that are so fast, you know, we know Ryan's got unbelievable pace. He's on you in a flash, and it just a little bit of doubt. Scott takes another touch inside, and then he's on him. And it seems so simple when you watch it. We slow down, bring it down. It looks easy. Those are the things we have to be on top of, though, because Brazil are trying to lure us into thinking we're comfortable, and then we jump.
They jumped, and they jumped for the second goal, which eventually was overturned. Let's take a look at it and work out whether we think there is actually a foul here by Vinicius Jr. I mean, again, Scotland are sort of creating their own problems.
Yeah, there I think Brazil let Scotland think that they are in control, and they just like of show where they wanna Scotland to play. So, and then like Rachel said, that, you know, Vini had for me it's not a foul. Great press, could be 2-0, and of course let's see what the referees the VAR and the referees expert will say. So for me it wasn't a foul.
And it's Vinny's pace there that makes that over 2-3 yards. Jack thinks he's got, probably when he's playing in Saudi Arabia, he's turning around, just passing it back to the goalie. No, Vinny's not letting that happen.
Is anybody making a case for this being a foul?
I think the argument is there's contact made before Vinicius Jr. touches the ball. So I think the officials maybe deem he's not in control of the ball, and therefore he makes contact with the Scotland player first. I think that is ever so fortunate.
Yeah, Darren Cann, our refereeing expert, agrees and thinks that Scotland were very lucky not to have that ruled as a decisive goal. It would have put Brazil 2-0 up, but eventually they were 2-0 up right at the end of the first half.
Yes, I think after the disallowed goal, I think Scotland got some good momentum, but then Brazil got back the rhythm and start to be dangerous again. Now Cunha, I would like to say, you know, he's been fantastic the first half, and he started to recover the ball. And Vini Jr. again, you know, in a great position. It's a great cross by Bruno, I think, and Bruno Guimarães, and it's 2-0. I think finishing the first half 2-0 up, it gives you more confidence to come back for the second half.
Again, Rachel.
Gunn and Patterson need to deal with that, certainly at the back post. I think Angus Gunn totally misjudges it. You know, it's a gift of a header. It's a gift to lose the ball in that scenario. But when we do lose the ball initially, we do have time to defend this situation better. That is just really frustrating, certainly at the time in the game that was.
And that is how Sao Paulo reacted with that second goal going in for Brazil, because they know they're on course to top their group as they progress to the last 32. Look, it has been a first half in which there's been lots of cause for celebration for Brazil, and it may be that Angus Gunn didn't cover himself in glory in that particular instance. However, he did pull off a really important save towards the end of the first half.
Yeah, it was huge for us, because going in at 3-0, game's done and dusted. This is an unbelievable bit of quality there. That touch, and like, happy for Angus Gunn to make that save, but like, as you say, he probably didn't cover himself in glory in the last one, but he's definitely made up for it with that save.
Yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it?
Oh, amazing save. I think at 3-0, we know every goal counts, but 3-0 would be a real sucker punch at this point in time, at half-time in the game, where, you know, we want to be in it, and we are in it.
Lucas, you have talked about Cunha and how important he's been for Brazil. Not on the score sheet yet, but why have you been so impressed with him? What's he given to the team?
I think he's giving the freedom for Vini Jr. and Ryan to be higher up on the pitch. You know, on the defensive side, he's been really important, playing like a number 6 in front of the midfield. So, and link up plays, you can see he's giving always an option and trying to always create a chance. And he almost scored at the end of the first half. So I think he's been the key. And we talked about earlier that giving the freedom to Vini Jr. play a little bit higher and be more effective, and that's what is happening. I think because of Cunha as well, is giving that option, one more player in midfield.
So it's been a difficult first half for Scotland. They've trailed Brazil by 2-0. Let's catch up on the other game in Group C. Morocco are taking on Haiti. It's a good one, this. Commentary from Stephen Wyeth and Martin Keogh. First half between those two. At the end of 45 minutes, Brazil are on course to top their group for the 12th World Cup in a row. Morocco, as things stand, are set to go through as runners-up. Scotland do still have a chance of reaching the last 32 as it stands. They also can't finish any lower than third because they've beaten Haiti, so they have a better head-to-head record against them. So whatever Haiti do, they can't finish above Scotland. But Scotland really need to keep an eye on their goal difference. Also on the iPlayer, you can go behind the scenes with Scotland goalkeeper Craig Gordon as the 43-year-old made it into Scotland's World Cup squad.
Gordon sprawled and made the save, and he's injured.
Did you think you'd play again?
No, at that point, no. If this was a year there was no international tournament, then I probably wouldn't be still here.
You've read the information they played it, you know, you can paralysis, you can die.
Well, Group A concludes later tonight. Czech Republic need a win when they face Mexico in Mexico City. That was live on BBC One and iPlayer, and it's all to play for in Monterrey. South Africa take on South Korea. BBC Two and iPlayer for that one. But if you missed any of the action throughout the night, you can catch up on iPlayer with no spoilers. Just head to the BBC Sport website and app for all the latest. And there's a really useful tool. It's coming into its own at the moment. You can see how the projected round of 32 is shaping up. And there will be lots of reaction to what happens in Miami on the Scottish Football Podcast. And of course, remember, you can check out the Football Daily on BBC Sound as well.
This is just the beginning. Nightmare.
A new series of This 50 is Ours, coming this autumn on BBC iPlayer.
Big 45 minutes coming up from Scotland. We need to remember, Scott, that this is not the end if Scotland lose this game. They do really need to keep an eye on the goal difference here.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for Scotland. I mean, huge team talk with Steve Clark. 45 minutes, we need to think we need to make sure we don't concede any more goals and hope to God that we manage to score a goal.
Scotland trailing at the moment by 2-0 against Brazil as we head into the second half in Miami. In the company of James McFadden and Liam McLeod.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, these two have met at World Cups 20 in the past. You want to keep across all the action at this one. A handy reminder that to enjoy the World Cup you need a TV licence. If yours needs renewing, you can scan the code that's on your screen now to do so. 1974, 1982, 1990 and 1998, these two went head-to-head. The one in 1974 is the best Scotland have got on in Frankfurt, a goalless draw as Willie Ormond's Scotland side failed to get out of their group despite not losing any of their 3 games. Against Mali was the Gallows Brazilians. 82 in Seville, Brazil keeper Dave Neary goal down to win 4-1. Scotland failing to beat the Soviets in their final game a few days later to exit yet again. In 1990, the night in the final group game in Turin, Brazil winning thanks to a late mover goal. And then came the famous tournament opener in 1998 in the Stade de France. John Collins' penalty cancelling out Cesar Sampaio's opener for Brazil, who would win it thanks to a Tom Boyd goal. And as you can see, Kieran Tierney has made his way onto the park for the start of the second half, and there's no Andy Robertson. As Brazil prepare to get the series back underway here. It's a surprise. It looked as though there was an injury, but Robertson, who's so integral to this Scotland side, has had injury problems at this tournament, most notably with Aaron Hickey. And it is Carolina to get the second half underway. Back to Allison it goes. Brazil continue with the same 11. And the header there from Danilo comes right through to Gunn. So no Robertson, albeit it's an able deputy, Kieran Tierney.
Yes, I mean that is a positive side to it. Kieran Tierney more than capable, but as a concern that Andy Robertson's been off at half time, there must be some issue because I thought he looked comfortable in that first half.
Again with the armband now then, finds Tierney. What can Scotland muster in the second half? They cannot allow the scoreline to get any worse for a start.
No, I think they have to move the ball forward quicker. Yeah, just a miscommunication there. Ganondorf will come short, they spin it behind, the space was there. Can they move the ball forward quicker, as the guys were saying? Half time there. It has been Brazil just sitting off, allowing Scotland that possession in an area that's not going to hurt Brazil.
Last time Scotland came from behind at a major tournament to avoid defeat with a 2-2 draw with the Soviets in Malaga in 82. Last time they came from behind to win a major tournament match was against the Dutch in 78. But they're 2 behind here. Here's Gimenez. Gabriel. As always in Brazil matches, the soundtrack is the shine of the samba in the stands. Enjoying the evening here. A big Brazilian contingent in Miami. Tomini wins it back from Paquetá. They need somehow to find the next goal. That has been the case too often at major tournaments. They look a little bit toothless. There's Ganondorf trying to make inroads.
The chance comes because when it comes to Patterson, in the first half that pass should have gone back to Jack Henry. They flicks it to the outside, he's got it forward inside to Lewis Ferguson. Then it's a couple of quick little passes to Ferguson, Patterson, McTominay, and then the drive forward, play in front of Ganondorf to run onto. More of that can give Scotland an opportunity to get a goal back here.
Ferguson to McLean. McKenna. 3 points in -2 is what they're on right now. And that's around about a 63% chance of going through with that.
drops to 42 at -3, 27 for -4. It was interesting what the guys were saying at half-time there, the Brazilians setting traps. Yeah, you could see it. You could see that they were just waiting, allowing Scotland to feel comfortable and then going and pressing at the right moment. And they got their joy from it. McGinn. Tierney. Wraps his foot round it. That's straight at Alisson from McTominay. Need more of that, that's for sure. Miles better. Miles better. Quick passing move. Quick decisions made. McTominay gets up really well. Does well to get the header in. He just can't get it either side of Alisson. Lovely link-up play to McGinn and Tierney. It's just put off enough that he can't get either side down into the ground, back across, and the ball's come from. Perfect option, but the sight of goal, Marcel in the half is certainly a positive. Marquinhos looking for Vinicius Junior in behind. Defending this time by Hendrick. Ferguson for McLean. And now Shankland, who's been working on the periphery of things throughout. Nothing really to feed off of. Will there be something here? That wasn't the worst ball in by Patterson, but Shankland couldn't get close to it. He normally likes to make that run towards the back. Shankland as well. Gambles and going the near post. If he had made his usual run, he's got a chance to score there. It's a great ball in from Patterson. Paquetá for Vinicius Junior. He's on a hat-trick. One keeps him at bay for now. That's the difference. It's one pass. It's a brilliant pass, perfectly weighted. Takes a really good first touch as well. And the scrum spreads himself. Well, that's just how dangerous Brazil are. Pelé was the last man to score a hat-trick for Brazil at the World Cup finals. Imagine their number 7 tonight will be eyeing up that feat. Well, he's certainly going to get chances. He's in the mood all right. And look at Brazil at this current time. It's like a 4-4-2 they're playing. Vinny Junior in alongside Cunha. That's a lovely ball back. Patterson hits the deck. No penalty. Waved away by the referee. Didn't look like one from up here, in all fairness. Senor Ramos certainly wasn't in the mood to give it. No, he wasn't. It was great play. Little 1-2 back heel, Patterson driving into the box. Clearly it's going to a quick check to confirm the referee's decision. It's Marquinhos. Bruno Guimaraes. Ryan. Paquetá to Douglas Santos.
She's Junior to Casemiro to Marquinhos and Danilo. Scotland with everyone behind the ball. Here's Junior. Down the throat of Gunn. Their own little battle, those two.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he's in the mood. And that is the worry, you know, they've not really, they haven't dominated possession, it hasn't been control with the ball, but they look so dangerous when they go forward, particularly Billy Junior.
Taking chances in the first half of Scotland were against him. A guy who scored in 2 separate Champions League finals. You're not going to come up against a much higher standard of opponent than that.
Yeah. And you don't, he doesn't need any encouragement.
Scored the winner against Liverpool in 22 and scored the second against Dortmund a year later at Wembley. Relish being the talisman for this Brazil side.
He's got a great relationship with Ancelotti as well. Clearly knows how to get the best out of him, how to treat him, how to make him feel special.
His coach during those Champions League victories.
He's a master. I mean, he is a master. It is a, it is a master stroke by Brazil to bring him in because there always seems to be harmony in his teams. He knows how to win.
The ball comes back away and now there's another shot for a penalty. Once again it's waved away by the ref. McLean went down this time. Brazil get the free kick. The boos ring out from the Titan Army behind the goal there.
It takes too long, Kenny McLean. Lovely flip once again by Lawrence Shankland. The awareness to know where Kenny McLean is. But he's just waiting for it to come down. It's clumsy, there's a little bit of contact. But I think he just needs to try and get his shot away. You're never going to get the time to let that bounce and take another touch. Because they're trying to maybe take it first time. But at least the ball's getting in and around the box. It's going up to Shankland. They're getting support around him. Look more threatening in this second half.
Ryan chases after it. Check their lowest world ranking coming into World Cup ever. Brazil. Yeah, the only South American side at this World Cup who suffered 6 qualifying defeats. And to put that in context, they only lost 5 qualifying games in the past 20 years combined. So they weren't coming into this fight hot. Billy Junior stepped over there from Jimenez. He couldn't quite get back onto it.
Well read by Angus Gunn.
A real concern right now for the Scotland supporters that this team's about to find themselves in a position where yet another major tournament, and they've been brilliantly to qualify for 3 under Clark. Could pass them by quite quickly here.
Yeah. And it was always the worry and the fear because it's happened before. I mean, getting off to a great start with a victory against Haiti. And then that one moment, that lapse in concentration. Allowed them in early in the game, actually grew in the game and put a decent performance in the second half. And there's been parts to like about the performance here tonight, but the goals that have been given away have been too cheap.
A guitar for Jimenez. It's a really clever ball, but Neil couldn't quite retrieve it.
There's a chance here, great way to pass, to totally take Jack Henry out of the equation, but he doesn't give up and probably just does enough. think it clear Vinny Junior, I think he's concentrated himself. Over the top for Ryan, short blocked, Fakita. It's wide again, Dunn knew exactly where it was going. They're knocking on the door again here from the Brazilians. The worry for me is that they don't even look like they're close to clicking into gear, but they look dangerous every time they go forward. So threatening, so much speed. Mr. Butler. On the left, he's been all 3 games. From Paisley. And Redbusher. Hollywood A-lister. The Scotland lost Group A when it comes to hopes of going through as a third place team with 3 points earlier, because Bosnia and Herzegovina beat Qatar to move on to 4 points. So Switzerland lead that group on 7 points after beating co-hosts Canada. So 7 for the Swiss, Canada and Bosnia both on 4. So you can forget that group. Begin to tick them off as you go along. There's going to be a little bit hanging around for Scotland. The Queen's beaten to it. Gimenez is in. Laid back the way. And here is number 3. Matheus Cunha has pushed Scotland to the World Cup brink here. 3-0. And Steve Clarke's men simply have no answer. I mean, they've looked threatening every time they've got forward. Brazil claims the Scotland side in a foul. And Scott McKenna, I think it was, it's stepped across to try and defend the situation. And then it's all about the quality in this attacking lineup. And Brazil, great play here. That shoulder to shoulder for me. He can go himself, he's got the awareness. Bruno to play in his teammate Cunha. It was a cool finish, and they have threatened it. They have threatened it so far this second half. They only had 1 goal. Cunha up until this international break, and she got those 2 against Haiti. He adds to the Vinny double. And Scotland are in deep trouble now. Yeah, they are. They are, and I think it's been a more positive performance in the second half in terms of actually looking half threatening. But the last 5-10 minutes, Brazil have looked dangerous every time they've gone forward. Big Boar goes up his knee, but there's a little warm-up, and I would imagine we'll be seeing him at some point in the not too distant future. Tierney. Get it back from McGinn. He was fouled there right at the edge of the area. And he's felt the full force of that, and the yellow is out as well for Danilo. Right on the line just about. Yeah, well, the referee's in a great position. Again, excellent from Tierney McGinn. Little 1-2. I think it's just outside the box. We did worry when we saw Tierney's reaction to this. He's had so many injury problems. So he picked up that injury at the last European Championship. The game in Cologne against the Swiss. We've got to get the motor running here somehow. Because as things stand, it's looking like another meek tournament exit. Still an outside chance, -3 goal difference. They could still go through. The percentages are dropping with every single Brazilian goal. Lewis Ferguson blasts for goal, and Alisson managed to tip it round for the corner. Yeah, I don't mind it. You know, just fire it towards that back post area. Hopefully catch Alisson out. Or maybe just get a little glance on it. One of the poisoned that blue. John McGinn. At the back post, Ferguson was there, but taken away from him. It's good from Tierney again. It's a useful ball. Tomini with a header. And Brazil mop up. Well, they're looking more of a threat now. The trouble is they're 3 goals down. Yeah, but if you can go and get a goal, you've been speaking about, the goal difference and how important that is. Oh,
That's not going to aid the cause. Vinicius Junior a mile offside.
it's not, it's a flat one. Kieran Tierney has been excellent since coming on.
Yeah, a couple of brilliant balls out. Tomini looking for Gannon. Can he get there? Not quite. It's a strange one this, James, because as Brazil prepare to make a double change, normally when you're 3-0 down, you just throw on the strikers, try to get something back. However, -3 might still get you through.
Yeah. And we still need to keep playing to try and get that goal.
Gabriel Martinelli coming on, Casemiro coming off, Paquetá also being withdrawn. Fabinho Al-Ittihad, former Liverpool player, 5 years at Anfield. Started the Champions League final win over Spurs in 2019. Martinelli wanted to face his old Arsenal colleague, Tierney, for the back of an excellent season, as everyone did at Arsenal, despite the disappointment in the Champions League final. 11 goals for Martinelli in the season just gone. McLean. Tierney. Ferguson for McKenna. Tierney looking for another dangerous ball whipped in. Shankland hears after it, but it's very calmly dealt with. Fabinho. Pina. Just took his eye off it for a moment. Scotland supporters always have a good time on trips at major tournaments anyway, regardless of the results, but from their point of view, they quite like things to go for them on the pitch as well. The win over Haiti was well celebrated, but it may well be it counts for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they would have had a great time, but they want to be coming to major tournaments with a real chance to advance. I know it still is, but they're desperate to see Scotland get a goal or two and make it a better scenario for them, give them a better chance of getting through into that elusive next stage.
Well, after us on BBC One, if you fancy staying up, Czech Republic face Mexico as Group A reaches its conclusion tonight. And on BBC Two later,
also in Group A, same time. It's all to play for between South Africa and South Korea. And the BBC has announced live television rights to all matches featuring Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. That's up until and including, obviously, the European Championship finals in 2028, hosted in the UK and Ireland, friendlies, qualifiers, and this autumn's Nations League matches too. It's been a tough whole night for Scotland, but you can have your say. You scan the QR code there with BBC Sports Player Rater. Who stood out for you? Really, Vinicius Junior will be leading the race for that. So as I said, it's been a difficult night watching on here in Miami, and a difficult night for Rachel Corsie as well, who's watching back in the studio. Rachel, what are you thinking?
Yeah, similar to you, Liam. I think probably Brazil in the last 10-15 minutes have just started to get into their stride. We're struggling, I think, with Cunha's movement. He obviously plays that false nine, drops in to Vinicius Junior, and Ryan on the other side stretching the game. We're not really dealing that ball in between. That goal, just a great example. They're backing through. Casemiro, brilliant way. Gimenez with a brilliant awareness to know this player on the outside. But for our creative chances, I think this McTominay header just shows you, we are still in there in glimpses. It just takes so much work for us to actually create these moments. And, probably need to endure a little bit of defensive work again before we get another chance. But every goal counts, and we just have to believe. I can see the fans still believe, but we've got to believe that, one goal, I think, can make a huge difference if we can push on these last 20 minutes.
Thank you, Rachel. James is staring out at the pitch here, wondering if there's anything at all in this for Scotland. Even just one goal, a 3-1 defeat, which you never want to sign up for a defeat. But right now, if Scotland can get a goal and it's -2 on the table, then you'd probably take that right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a better second half in terms of looking like scoring. Tommy's header, clearly best chance we've created, but yeah, just get a goal to stem the flow, first of all, from Brazil. We try and, hit them back. And then be greedy in second, you then go get another goal. It's imperative that we don't concede any more. But we still have to go and try and get back in this game as it is. And players out there won't be thinking, 3-0 or 3-1 might be okay. They'll be thinking, can we get the next goal? Can we then push on it and try and put a bit of pressure on Brazil? But Rachel's right. We're having to work so hard to get half chances, not even full chances.
Andy Robertson are nice there. Well, it's got pretty much shades of the game in Piraeus last year in qualifying away to Greece. 3-0 down, they did get it back to 3-2. Clearly, this is a tougher challenge against the Brazilians.
Well, look, you need to go and try and get the next goal to give yourself a chance. Even just a lift, it just gives you a lift, a burst of energy. A little reward for some of the good play.
Brazil just don't look like wanting, though.